Only a 12th level intellect has the slightest hope of surviving what you are about to experience.
Our first episode, we started talking about coffee.
And people really liked a lot in the comments. They were like, "Oh, I love hearing about what you're drinking."
They did. Yeah, they were like, "Yeah, spend 5 times talking about your coffee every episode. See how that goes."
Yeah, all just to spite them. Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, we definitely got a comment the first episode of like, I'm 3 minutes into this podcast and you're still talking about coffee. I'm like, this is a podcast. What do you expect?
But it was our first impression, and so it's like, yeah. Oh, they're just being
also, we
awkward.
weren't using our radio voices.
That's right.
Not.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a pre-announcement. We are doing this episode late night. The first time the 12th level intellects have ever done a PM recording. That's not true. It's in the afternoon for me. It's in the morning for you. Because I'm East Coast, you're West Coast.
Yeah.
And we usually do like 1 p.m., 10 a.m. So it is a PM for me.
It's just the same, yeah. No, it's later than you. Yeah, like I'm at 7:30, you're at 10:30. It's still later than usual. I'm going to crack open this coffee here.
Oh, that's a nice coffee you have. I'm on my second coffee.
No, you're so much more caffeinated than me already.
Are we going to spend 5 minutes of this episode talking about beer? Can we do that?
Yeah, I think
that's happening right now.
We're about 2 minutes in at this point.
Oh, so we got 3 to spare.
We got 1 more minute. Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, that's fair. So what are you drinking over there?
A Bud Light.
Oh my God! Come on.
I wish I wasn't, but it was all that I had.
You're better off with a glass of water. I've got the Sierra Nevada hazy little thing over here. It's a hazy IPA.
Yeah, I'm still gonna prefer this to that because I hate IPAs. They're disgusting. I don't know why anyone drinks them.
This one's very bad. It's got grapefruit.
My friend John really likes IPAs, and every time that I'm over and he's drinking one, he's like drinking it super fast. I'm like, how can you drink that? It's so gross. He's like, yeah, that's why you got to drink it fast. I was like, then what's the point? Just find one that tastes good. I don't know.
Yeah, find one that tastes good. That's what I say. You don't have to drink gross
beer.
Not
that Bud Light tastes good, but you know what I'm saying.
Nobody makes you drink gross beer. Welcome to the 12th level intellects.
Hey, that's what I do. If you steal my sunshine, I'm James Strecker, and you are who again?
The sunshine stealer, Ted Kendrick.
Oh yeah, Teed Kendrick.
That's me.
The gags, the running gags. Yeah, this is a podcast about geek stuff. We'll eventually, like, I was thinking about how we try to keep it very DC, Marvel related. Heavily DC, but we're gonna be like talking about the new Predator movie in a couple weeks.
That's
true. We talked about something else recently.
We've talked about Han Solo.
We talked about Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weekly geekly. That's all.
Weekly geek, bi-weekly, bi-geekly, because we're 2 people, or is that 2 sexual overtones for the podcast?
You tell me, James.
So what are we talking about today? I don't know. We're going to be talking to the Dynamic Music Partners, which is Lolita Ritmanis, Michael McQuistion, Christopher Carter. They are the composers for the DCAU shows and a bunch of other DC and Marvel animated series. They're pretty cool. It was awesome to get to talk to all 3 of them. I tried to contact Christopher Carter on Instagram. He didn't respond. That was months ago. And then I contacted Lolita Ritmanis with one tweet that was like, hey, would you like to have an interview? And then she was like, yeah, let's do it, and tagged everyone else. And I was like, awesome.
Now, fill me in, because I actually wasn't on the interview. You did the interview with Adam Mullen, who does our intro music and all the Legacies promo music and stuff. So the dynamic. So when I say we, it's not
Ted,
it wasn't me. I'm gonna hop out for that part of the conversation. But just to remind our audience, the Dynamic Music Partners are the people who did all the music for pretty much all the DCAU. Oh,
yeah, I said that. How drunk are you already?
I'm not drunk. I was just checking with you. Did they do Batman the Animated Series? Like, is this the group that spun out of like Shirley Walker's?
Yeah, so Shirley Walker, like they explain it when we talk to them, because we ask them about like how they got into it and stuff. But like the way I understand it, Shirley Walker, composed the Batman the Animated Series theme and a bunch of other music, and then kind of realized like, oh, this is a big like undertaking. I need like minions, and so then she composed Despicable Me, and there were minions everywhere. This is a lie. This is a bad joke.
That didn't happen.
She got these 3 people, plus like at least 2 or 3 others, I think. But then those other ones like didn't gel as well or didn't move on and do more stuff. These other guys, these ones that we talked to, they kind of came together as a team eventually after doing these shows together for so long. And by the time of Justice League Unlimited, it was like, these are the people to use these people.
Cool.
They do great stuff. And I talked about how there's a Batman Beyond special feature. I think it's on the Return of the Joker DVD where they show like the guy who performed the guitar in the theme song.
Oh, nice.
And he has like super long blonde hair, and he's like rocking out the whole time and going.
That's
And
sweet.
for years, I thought that was Christopher Carter, one of the composers. And so I told that to him, and they all like laughed really hard at that. And I was glad that they did, because I was like, oh, that could go one way or the other. Where they're like, really, maybe they hated that guy or something. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So why couldn't you get Shirley Walker on the podcast?
Well, that's because she has passed away.
Oh, we should have held it. We should have held a
Years ago.
seance. We could have brought her back.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not. All right, moving on.
Force Ghost.
Uchi board.
Commune with the Force.
There we go.
So this is going well so far.
Well,
What's your news, dude?
Yeah,
Did you
let's
get
talk about
or
news.
Something.
I got some news. Well, first of all, I just want to talk about Death of Superman. I watched it. We watched it. We talked about it. When I rewatched it, I realized Peter Tomasi was the writer, and I just wanted to bring that up because he's a really cool writer. He's done a lot of rebirth stuff for Superman, and he did the Batman and Robin series after Grant Morrison left, and he's done Green Lantern Corps with Jeff Johns, and I thought that was really cool. I didn't realize that he was the writer of that movie until later, and just wanted to say that out loud.
Yeah, he was on the special feature talking about Reign of the Supermen, I think. Anyway,
Not all of us watched that.
you still didn't watch it.
Anyway, so I think the big DC news of the week was Brendan Fraser has been announced as Robotman in the Doom Patrol series, and that's awesome.
I'm really excited about that.
Me
I'm
too.
really happy to see him doing stuff.
Yeah, that actually kind of renewed my interest in the show. Like even though I like Jeff Johns and he's kind of like really involved in all that, this casting choice is really awesome.
Yeah, we have there's a my movie Virality. There's a scene where we joke about whether Brendan Fraser died or not, because we don't know. We haven't seen him in so long.
Yeah.
And now,
What are you eating? What are you eating right now?
Just by the time the movie comes out, he'll.
Are you
somehow
chewing
be,
on something?
this
Are you
huge
talking with your mouth
megastar
full?
again.
You're talking with your mouth full.
Hey, shut up.
That's
People really like to hear me chew food.
use your radio voice.
And so Brendan Fraser is coming back as the Robotman.
No, that's gonna be cool. Robot Man was like a NASCAR driver who got in an accident and his brain was transferred to a robot body. That's
who Brendan Fraser is? Wow.
Yeah, that's Brendan
That's
Fraser.
really interesting. That explains his absence for so long. No, I am glad because there's been recent Brendan Fraser interviews because he's been on some TV show, some kind of Law and Order-ish show, I think. I'm probably wrong about what the show actually is. I haven't watched it, but there's been recent interviews with him where he just looks really sad and depressed, and he doesn't want to be there, and he's had a hard last few years for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy to see that he's gonna do something like this that's more public. So.
I could be wrong. I think I heard he had sort of a Me Too movement sort of event happen to him in the past. So, yeah, it seems like Robotman, the whole Doom Patrol is kind of like DC's answer to the X-Men. I could be wrong. They actually might predate the X-Men by a little bit. It's just funny because they're both groups of misfits with superpowers who have to they bind together and they're led by a guy in a wheelchair. Except one of them has a lot of hair and the other has none.
So speaking of robots, you know how the smartwatches exist, yeah?
I've heard of them.
They're like a watch that's like an iPhone on your wrist. That's my news. What's your name? Just kidding. Apparently there's I'm just going to read this article. Now you can develop your powers with DC superhero-themed smartwatches. What's a superhero without super-powered accessories? Says the first line. I mean, most don't have that, I think. Tech company 161 has a new line of smartwatches that lets any civilian embrace their inner DC hero. The watches, available for pre-order, currently come in 3 variations. Those variations include the following themes: the CW superhero television show The Flash,
What?
Batman the Animated Series,
What?
and Gal Gadot's World War I era Wonder Woman.
I
don't really know what I think it's just like the.
You're
the
telling
home
me I can
screen.
watch Batman the Animated Series on my watch? I can watch it on my watch?
I don't think so.
It's a double.
I think maybe there will be like a DC streaming app.
Could I do it on like an Apple Watch? Like synced to my phone? Could I play it on that?
No, I think it's not an Apple Watch. I think they're like separate watches.
So
but they're
it's
all
not
themed like this thing. What's weird about it is they list the specific The Flash show, BTAS, and the Wonder Woman movie, but the picture they show has the 60s Batmobile on it. So I don't know if that's another one or if they're mistaking that. Like, oh, that's Batman the Animated. I don't know. But that's kind of a cool thing
that's
if
close.
you want like one of those, I guess. I don't know.
If you can't watch them on your watch, I don't know.
Like this one for the Flash is like themed like a Star Labs computer. It's like blue. It's got the little Star Labs logo. It's I guess it reminds me of like when you would like theme your Windows desktop in like 2004.
Okay.
So it's like everything's like now your icon for Internet Explorer is like the Star Labs star. Like whoa.
Wow. Nice.
Just all the sounds are now Star Labs sounds. Whoa, yeah. you open up Windows Media Player and it goes, "Run, Barry, run!" And I'm like, oh, I'm so sick of that.
Force quit. Sorry, that's I don't know.
No, that's the Star
Speed
Wars
Force
thing.
quit. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, also there's Deadpool and Rick and Morty themes. That's kind of cool.
No, that's cool.
I did just finish Rick and Morty season 3 yesterday.
For the
It's
first
taken me
time?
a long time, but yeah.
Oh, nice. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
amazing
not
season.
as cliffhangery as season 2 was, but I did enjoy watching it still.
Yeah. No, the whole season's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite episode? Favorite episode of the season? Kim?
Of season 3?
Yeah. Let's go there.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna be a stereotype of the fan base. I mean, I do like the Pickle Rick episode. It's
That's a
pretty
classic.
it's pretty good. It's got some good jokes. It's got good action.
I like
yeah,
Morty's. What was it? Morty's Mind Benders?
Mind Blowers.
Mind Blowers.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's the
That
interdimensional
was
cable
okay.
substitute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was okay. I would have preferred they do another interdimensional cable or whatever.
I also loved the Citadel of Ricks, like where all the Mortys rise up and take it
yeah, no,
over.
okay, that was my favorite because
Yeah,
I was
that might
waiting
be
for
my
that eye patch
favorite.
Morty to come back for so long. And
Yeah.
then they played. I knew
played
it was
his
coming.
music at
This
the
is
end,
spoilers,
yeah.
and people don't care about this at all. But I was waiting for that to happen because I had been in my mind since he walked away at the end of the
Right.
other, and like the same music, the same song starts playing that he walked away to, and I was like, yes! And like my wife and sister were just looking at me like, what are you talking about? What? Yeah.
Yeah, that episode's
That's
amazing.
good. So anyway, do you have another related
Sure.
thing? I'm so sweaty up in this room. I'm in a different room than normal, and I can't turn the fan on because
That-
we're recording. It's
You
so
look like
hot.
Harry Potter in like the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah, I kind of am. You can see this slanted ceiling next to me.
Yeah.
I'm in an attic.
Wow. Yeah, I do have a piece of news. I saw a promo image for the CW's upcoming crossover. So it was a promo image for Supergirl, Arrow, and The Flash. But you can see the silhouette of Batwoman in the background. But she's
Yeah.
like in the sky, and it's a very much, it's
like
just
a
a
bat
bat.
signal
It's like
kind
a
of
bat
thing, yeah.
symbol, but like the tips of them are red. So it's like maybe
Yeah.
that's her costume. I don't know. It's just a blurry Batwoman image.
There's also like the Flash has a new either costume or at least mask.
Did you
Because like his
see-
chin is not covered anymore.
Right.
Which is more like comic accurate, more or like at least old style, old school style version. But like I don't know. It looks weird to me. I'll have to get used to it. Like, it just looks, his neck looks suddenly like so much skinnier than it was before.
Did you see all the drama on Grant Gustin's Instagram?
Yeah.
About
I mean,
how...
I don't mean to.
Yeah, the drama. Yeah.
What a stupid guy.
No, it's so like the photo of the suit from the upcoming season got leaked online, and people,
just like a
people
test or
just
something,
like you were trashing it. They're like, "Oh, it looks dumb. I don't like it."
People like me. Hang on a sec.
Well,
there's no one like James Strick.
I mean, you don't like the chin strap, or you do prefer the chin strap. I don't know.
I think. Well, so I think it's one of those things with comic book costumes where like you don't think you want that until you see it without it. Like I didn't like.
Well, here's a question for you. Have you ever worn a chin strap?
I've had one with facial hair.
Like made out of your hair?
Yeah, no, I like glued hair to my face. I've also worn a marching band hat with the chain that comes down over your chin. That's sort of a chin strap.
So you are an expert. You can talk to these.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I've been teaching marching band for like 6 days straight, and that's all I could think of. If you watched our little break movie, anyone that's listening to this, you know I've been teaching marching band, and it is a chore. There's a lot of little babies running around not knowing what to do. And
are these high school freshmen?
I mean, they're high school.
Oh, just everybody. Yeah.
But no, it's actually going pretty good this year compared to last year, especially at this time. We have a lot of stuff that's good, but also, again, no one cares about this. Although maybe you do, because there's actually a surprisingly high amount of people commenting on that.
I wonder what the Venn diagram is.
Marching Man.
There's got to be a Venn diagram.
The overlap, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably pretty thick. Who knows?
It's probably pretty close. Because I mean, we were in marching bands. Matthew Valencia was in marching. I don't have anything else, man. I don't know.
Yeah, the only other thing I had on my list was Swamp Thing is filming in North Carolina, and I'm just personally excited about that because I live there. I don't live in the city. I live about maybe 5 hours away from them where they're gonna film, because it's a pretty big state. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's like, that you could say almost any state. You could be like, they're filming in my state, but
right.
I'm not anywhere near that.
Basically, they're filming on like the East Coast, like by the Atlantic Ocean, and I'm basically like I'm like half an hour from Tennessee. Like I'm on that side of North Carolina, the complete opposite. So.
Yeah, here it'd be like if they're filming in like Canada, it could be like, well, I could go check it out, but I'm not really right next to it.
But we'll see. Maybe. I'm excited. Film in North Carolina.
Let's flip over to the interview, I guess. You know what's coming. You heard us introduce it before, and I have no idea how we're supposed to, transition into such a segment. But hopefully someone can help me out.
Need a hand?
So hey everybody, welcome back to another Watchtower Database exclusive interview. Today we're honored to have with us the collective hive mind known as the Dynamic Music Partners. It's Lolita Ritmanis, Michael McQuistion, and Christopher Carter. And we're very excited to have you all here today. Thank you so much for being on the show with us.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
I'm sure you're gonna talk over each other several times, but that's okay. It'll happen. Adam and I'm here with Adam Mullen, our composer for our channel. So we're both musicians, and it's really quite a dream come true to be able to talk to you guys. Adam composes all the original music for our YouTube channel, and we've both been involved with musical groups and activities pretty much our entire lives. So we hope our questions are at least slightly more unique than what you might normally get asked, but we also hope we don't run too long because we've got a lot of them. So,
cool. Let's get going.
All right. So first, let's do some generic ones to get them out of the way, though we are genuinely interested in these too. What led each of you to become a composer, and did you have a fascination with music growing up, or any composers that inspired you?
Well, I can go first. I actually grew up thinking I would be more of a singer-songwriter, and I didn't really choose film scoring until I was already down in Los Angeles, and I just really caught a bug when I was attending the Dick Grove School of Music, and just found it fascinating that how music could really manipulate people when they're watching music for a particular dramatic scene and whatnot. And I loved how it made me feel. I loved how film music made me feel. And I think it's without a question, my biggest influences are John Williams and Jerry Goldsmith and Ennio Morricone.
The greats.
Yeah, and then I also have a real fondness for composer Dave Grusin. He pulled at my heartstrings when I was in my early 20s, and I love that style of music.
I grew up in Texas and decided I needed to escape from all the Western and country music, which I like for what it is. And, I went to the University of North Texas, where I got a degree in classical composition, and I had a chance to, while there, to hear early music and world music and jazz. And when I realized just how much music there is out there, I thought, film scoring is a really wonderful place where one can explore all these different things and get to tell a story with it. And like Lolita, it's like the feeling that you get from a film when the music is just hitting that right emotional note is something that I enjoy experiencing, and I also like shaping in my own music that I write. I was definitely, of course, influenced by John Williams, James Horner. Jerry Goldsmith is my spirit animal. But I also, while I was in college, also played in rock bands, and I was really into Nine Inch Nails and Rob Zombie and pretty heavy stuff, which I found adds a nice energy to film scoring also. So I like bringing in that raw energy into the music I write too. And that's kind of where I came from pre-Dynamic Music Partners, and which I know we'll get to soon.
Hi, everybody. This is Michael. Just to make everything very clear, since Chris and I are the guys. I'm from the Midwest. I'm from a small town in Missouri, a beautiful little small town. And I grew up studying classical piano since I was like 5 years old. And so I kind of grew up with a love of classical music. I didn't really listen to a lot of popular music until maybe after high school or so. What I found myself doing a lot, though, was because it was a small town, there weren't that many people who played piano. I found myself doing a lot of accompanying for theatrical productions. And I was in the pit many times, playing for musicals and things like that. And I really liked the way that what I was playing, the music that I was playing, would go with the singers and would go with the drama on the stage. And I also happened to grow up during that golden era of Spielberg movies like Raiders of the Lost Ark and Star Wars, which I guess is Lucas, of course, and all those wonderful John Williams scores. And I noticed that music because I loved the way that the music could live apart from the picture. It was wonderful with the film, but when you take it away from the film, it still worked in a concert setting. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever, to have that dual purpose. And I really identified with that, not to mention the great composition. So I decided I wanted to be a film composer when I was still in Missouri. I went to the same university that Chris went to, although he's much younger than me, so he went there after I did. But I went to the University of North Texas and decided to get a degree in classical composition because I felt that would give me the best tools to be able to pursue a career as a film composer. Then I went to USC after that and got a master's equivalent in film scoring. And that's kind of how I got started. And my first gig was Batman the Animated Series, which kind of came out of nowhere, and I couldn't be feel more fortunate or more lucky to have met Shirley. So that's how it got going.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear that you all kind of have your own individual, unique starts to things, despite eventually coming together to all form the same purpose. I'll throw this over to Adam for the next question then.
All right, this is Adam. Hi.
Hey.
So we want to know, how did you all get involved with the DC Animated Universe shows?
Well, it really came through Shirley Walker. Shirley Walker, I'm sure that you both know her. She is no longer with us, but her music and her legacy will have a profound impact on us and so many countless other composers. I personally was working as a music proofreader and also doing some ghostwriting and a lot of orchestrating over at Warner Brothers. And Shirley Walker was starting something where she was kind of putting out a call to other industry professionals seeking out emerging composers and some established composers to help her or to offer the composers an opportunity to be a part of a team for this little show called Batman the Animated Series. So
I think
to
I've heard of
actually
that,
be recommended to Shirley Walker and then get a call from her to find out if I'd be interested in working for her was kind of slightly unreal.
Yeah.
Michael and I were the first two to be participants in her grand experiment, which was blessed by Doug Frank, who was head of music at Warner Brothers at the time. And we started out by by going out to her place, orchestrating for her, learning the tone of the show, and then just writing individual cues on certain episodes, sharing episodes, and then eventually getting our own episodes. So that is definitely how Michael and I both got started on working for DC properties. And Chris, on to you as to your entree into that world as well.
Do we want to switch the order just because this is kind of chronologically?
Sure.
Like, because you guys had a shared experience. I think Mike should maybe go ahead and...
Well, you said it so well, Lolita. I mean, the only difference would be how I got the call from Shirley. I was working at the time, right after I graduated from USC, I was working for a keyboard player as his personal assistant. His name is Mike Lang. I know that everyone in the world has heard something that he's played because he's played on so many films and so many, classic movies. He's a piano player and a keyboard player. So I was working for him for like 2 or 3 years. And during the course of my working with him, he had a person coming over to deal with his synthesizers and hit all of his wiring, because he had a huge mobile synthesizer rack that he would take to sessions for Jerry Goldsmith and other people, that Henry Mancini, people that he would record with. And so the person that was working on his rack wiring was Don Walker. And I just thought Don was a sweet person and, just so nice and so technically oriented. And we just struck up a friendship over the course of about 1.5 years. And one day he just said, "Hey, what do you do when you're not working for Mike?" And I said, "Oh, well, I'm a film composer and I've been doing some student films and things." He's like, "Oh, really?" He said, "My wife is a composer." I said, "Oh, is she?" He said, "Yeah, her name is Shirley." I said, "Oh, Shirley Walker." I said, and I hadn't heard of Shirley Walker. I didn't know who Shirley Walker was at the time. And he said, "Yeah." He said, "She's got this project she's putting together. Do you have any music I could give to her?" And I said, "Yeah, I just made a recording of some things that I've done for myself, and I can give you," at the time it was a cassette tape. "I give you my cassette tape. And, if you want to pass it along, that'd be awesome." So he did that. I didn't hear anything for like 1.5 months, 2 months. And then out of the blue, I remember it as plain as day. I was in my 1-bedroom apartment in North Hollywood, and I get this call, and this woman said, "Hi, my name is Shirley Walker. I'm looking for Michael McQuistion." I said, "Well, I'm Michael." And she said, "Well, I heard your music, and I would love for you to be a part of Batman the Animated Series with me." And I was just like, "Okay." And she said, No, you can't answer me right now. You have to wait 3 days. And make sure you really want to do this, because you're going to have to write in my style, and you can't do your own thing, and you have to really fit into this, and you're not going to be able to do whatever you want to do. So just know that coming in. So call me in 3 days and give me your answer. So, duh.
Yeah, hopefully I get that phone call someday. Yeah.
Well, I waited 3 days to like the hour and called her back and said, "Absolutely, I'll do it." Now, let's put this in context, though, because keep in mind, nobody knew that this series was going to be what it became. Nobody knew this was going to become the de facto Batman series. We all just thought, okay, well, we're doing this series. The subject is Batman. It's dark. It's cool. Great. But it wasn't like we all were just like, "Oh my God, I want to work on this famous series," because it really hadn't happened at that point.
Well, and also Shirley was insightful to the fact that she was also pursuing her feature career and other projects, and with this many episodes and what the requirements were of the show, she was really wise to start putting together a support team. And the way that she worked, is very different than, unfortunately, a lot of other situations that are happening in the world right now, is that she gave full credit to the composers that wrote on her show. So if I wrote a cue, it wasn't, oh, I'm giving her, she's giving me like 25% or something. I got 100% writer's share of that cue. Mm-hmm. And it's really breathtaking. And, not to diss the other composers that aren't giving credit, because sometimes it really is about, they have, the composers develop the themes, and so they share credit. I get it. Trust me, I totally get it. I understand the business aspect of all of it. But she was such an amazing, honorable, person to work for.
Yeah.
Tough as nails, but really amazing. So.
Yeah, and so Michael and Lolita ended up kind of forging this whole process. They were the first two people that she invited into this grand experiment, and maybe as many as 30 people worked under her over the course of
35.
35 people over the course of the series. And during all this time, I was actually still in college, and my friends and I were just in rapture over this new animated Batman series. And it was required watching in the dorm. Anytime it was on, the TV was there. It was on that channel, and we were all sitting just eating it up. And I am thinking, wow, wouldn't it be amazing if someday I could have the opportunity to work on something like that? Mm-hmm. As I'm trying to develop my student film composing, I discovered that my stand partner in the orchestra, I'm primarily a pianist, but I also play the double bass in the orchestra. My stand partner happens to be Shirley Walker's son, in the most weird, bizarre coincidence. And his name is Ian, and he is a fabulous bass player and music producer, and he's just doing some wonderful things in music out here in LA. And through his generosity, he opened the door to play a tape of my student work for Shirley. And in the week after I graduated with my degree from North Texas, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life, I got a phone call from Shirley. And she said, Chris, how soon can you move out to LA? And I'm like, I think I'm figuring out what I'm going to do now.
And you said, surely you can't be serious, right?
And don't call me Shirley.
Exactly. He got it. Yeah.
I didn't, actually I think she knows that she put Michael through enough stress, so she didn't require the 3-day cooling off period. But I did, I had of course, being from Texas, I had a pickup truck. I packed everything that I could fit into my pickup truck, and I made my journey out to Los Angeles to actually not begin writing on this series, but to be her assistant. And she allowed me the opportunity to watch this process of what it was like for the young composers to work with Shirley, observe how, as she told Michael, it really was about supporting her vision, and whatever great creative things I'd want to do, it all had to be within the framework that she had established. And but I came in right as the show was kind of wrapping up in a way. So I orchestrated an episode called Baby Doll for her. And then I had an opportunity with another young composer named Brian Langsbard to split a show. And in that process, then I got to know Michael and Lolita, and we were all there together supporting Shirley.
Yeah, so was there a point when you all kind of decided, like, hey, we work pretty well together, let's form our own company?
That came much later. We went through several different. We did some of the long forms. Michael. Well, we went on to do Superman with her, and then Batman Beyond also was a show that we did under her music. She was the principal composer. But our collaboration, as far as making it official, came much later. It was actually closer to when we had already been pushed out of the nest, kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Where we were doing our own thing, but we were kind of competing for the same jobs, and we had already worked together so long under Shirley that we decided it would be better to officially join forces and not have one person be just swamped and crazy busy on a project and the other two kind of waiting for the next thing to audition for, but basically pool our efforts and we are very much three very individual composers that work together, and it's primarily for quality of life purpose, and also for, which includes everything from just being able to occasionally sleep, although right now you wouldn't know it, but in general, right. that's our goal, to be able to have some sort of a healthy lifestyle, and then also for the inspiration and the moral support of having, for myself to have two other colleagues whose music I just absolutely adore, who inspire me, who keep me on my toes, and kick me in the rear occasionally when I'm kind of slacking off and not doing something brilliant as they are all the time. So it's been a really great thing, and it's gone through growing pains that we respect what we have as dynamic music partners. We respect it so highly that we really are very cautious to make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted as far as fairness and respect for one another, and having a great business model, and also just being on top of things for our clients that, we're very fortunate to work on amazing properties.
So when you do a project as a group, is it often, okay, I'll take this part, you take this section of the movie or episode or whatever, or is it like everyone kind of mingles and works together to create the one, soundtrack?
Well, I think. Oh no! You want to go take it, Chris?
Oh no, I was sorry. I was following our order we established again.
Oh.
Wait, which order?
Go by the book. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. I ended up switching up.
Wow.
Go for it.
I'll go for it. Pretty much, even though there's three composers working on the project, the music needs to sound cohesive. It has to sound like it's one creative voice that we're all contributing to. So we have extensive discussions with the producers and the directors to make sure that we all understand what direction we're going to take the music. If there's a theme song, we all do collaborate on that. We'll all bring motifs or ideas, and then we'll sit down and hammer out something that's a wonderful synthesis of all the different creative ideas. So that has bits of all of us. But when it comes to the nitty gritty, writing this long list of cues of music that have to be created for this particular project, we actually do split that up because it's more efficient, that we can each write what we're, focus on what we're working on. And it's also so that we can, in a way, put 3 times the creative effort into a score, because I'm going to really make this cue great. And then I can focus my energy on the part that I have to do. And then we're all individually, making each cue shine. But then we put the demos, we make audio demos of the music, and we'll put that on Dropbox so we can all hear what we're doing and reflect off of it. And if there's a character theme that's been established, we might call back to that, so that there's, again, there's something that the audience will latch on to, a melody or a motif. And when it's our turn, if we need to address that, we can call back to it too, so that the so that the score has that, again, that cohesiveness, and that.
Yeah, there's definitely I'll be watching a Justice League episode, and without even looking at the credits, I'll usually be able to tell which one of you wrote the music for it, but it's not like distinctly different enough from the rest of, every other episode that it all has a pretty cohesive sound, like you're talking about. And it's funny that you guys use, Dropbox, and that you have such a nice, workflow to it all. 'Cause I know when Adam and I are composing something together, it's often a lot of headbutting. So maybe we just need to work 20 more years together, and it'll all work itself out. So we're gonna try to stick to questions that are primarily about the Bruce Timm connected shows. But you've all worked on these shows for so long, and other superhero cartoons like Teen Titans, Young Justice, The Brave and the Bold, and so on and so forth. Is there a particular show each of you preferred working on as a whole? Like, did any of them stick out as, oh man, this show is my favorite one to write for?
Oh, I don't know that we have a favorite show. That's like trying to ask somebody to pick their favorite child.
True.
It's really.
Well, do it.
But I can say a few words about one of these series that was kind of unique, and that was Teen Titans. When we did Teen Titans, we weren't yet formally dynamic music partners, but we were still working together, the 3 of us. But we tackled that show in a very different way because each of us did, a full episode rather than splitting an episode between the three of us. We each took on one episode as our episode, and then we rotated through the show. But the producer was very specific about wanting, the show to have a broad spectrum of music available, and he just thought that the voice of the show could be just about anything it needed to be at the time. So that gave us a huge amount of latitude to really write something special for that particular episode and not feel like there was any sort of generic expression for Teen Titans. In fact, it was the opposite. It was like, well, we want it to be, every episode can be special. Every moment can be special. It can be whatever it needs to be. So just go for it. And so that's what we did. And I think it resulted in some of the most interesting and fun, different scores within a series that we've had the opportunity to do, just because, and it wasn't necessarily, there were some linear story elements in that series too, but there were also these non sequitur episodes like Employee of the Month,
Right.
I mean, like, where did that come from? So, and that's great. And I can't tell you how refreshing it is to, as a creative person, I'm sure both of you, how refreshing it is to be thrown a curveball of some kind, something completely different, something out of the box. Here's this thing that you just didn't expect. And it kind of forces me as a creative person to go to a different place. And what's great about that is that, okay, I'm going to go there and I'm going to do something really weird or really special for this thing. Then I can go back to the anchor place for the series and I'm already refreshed. So, it really helps keep everything fresh and new all the time. When you've got 26 episodes of a series to work on, or 52, you need that opportunity to refresh yourself creatively, and it just makes the show that much better.
Yeah, I'm constantly forcing Adam to do stuff he doesn't like to do. So
lucky you.
So, is there any specific episode that really sticks out in your brain as some of your best work?
Oh, our best work.
Just choose one episode out of hundreds.
Bruce Timm project specifically?
Sure.
Well, for me, going back in time, I'd say the Star-Crossed episode for Justice League was such a personal triumph because I actually made Bruce teary-eyed. So
awesome.
That's like hooray, Bruce Timm is without question, just a legacy, an epic person, who is still very vibrant and very youthful actually in his ways that he, listens to music and whatnot, but he is a very tough person to work with. And I say that with all the respect in the world. So it's kind of like, when you want to like please your dad or your mom or something, you want to make it perfect. And it's a personal journey that, I'll just speak for myself. It's been probably one of the biggest journeys that I've had to deal with, is how do I deal with my own sense of being able to present something to this creative person and not be completely destroyed if he doesn't like it, and then not be actually overly joyful if he just loves it, because it's like too much invested of myself. But that episode was really powerful. And then that, I think, for me also was kind of an extra. I mean, I tell the story that there was a young couple that came up to us after a WonderCon or Comic-Con, and they actually said, they had actually, they came up to me, they said they transcribed the music or something, or they got married to the music of the end, the end scene.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my gosh, how great is that? And then most recently, I mean, I loved working on Killing Joke. I mean, I know it's kind of, there's some controversy about the opening, and all that, but I had a ball working on that project, because just listening to Mark Hamill's voice and how creepy it was, and just having a wonderful string orchestra that we hired. So those are my Bruce Timm kind of favorites right now, but we'll see.
Yeah, you got the gang back together for that movie for sure. The band, so to speak. I know that the end of Starcross there is it all. I can't even if I'm editing a video for our channel where I'm just using the footage and not the audio. I'm just watching it. I'm hearing the music and their lines in my head, and I can't not cry watching that scene. And that's half because of you guys. So congratulations. Is there the other two you want to jump in for a favorite episode? You don't have to if it's too hard to think of one, but
no. I actually there were two for me personally. There were two. And I'm so glad that Lloyd mentioned two because it opens the door for me to do so. Also, because I couldn't decide between one or the other. My first really big moment that I felt like I put everything 110% creatively that I could into was the Superman two-parter with Darkseid.
Yeah.
And
Legacy.
Apocalypse Now. Yeah, well, Apocalypse Now was the one that I worked on, and it was really special to me because it was a hugely important episode arc for Bruce, and Shirley trusted me enough to kind of take the ball and run with it. So I also stressed for like 3.5 weeks of every note has to be perfect, and I think creatively I was really proud of the way that turned out. But also in Justice League, there was a two-parter called Hereafter, where Superman gets stranded in the future with Vandal Savage and becomes Conan, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And there was something about the opportunity of that dramatic arc that just really inspired me personally. And I was really happy with how the episode turned out. So those are my two.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. Apocalypse Now has a lot of great stuff. The funeral scene, the death scene, all that stuff is all very powerful, and that's awesome to know that that's in your heart as well.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, thank goodness we can say two. I guess my couple of episodes I'm just going to speak very personally because they might not be the most popular episodes or anything like that, but they mean something to me. Certainly for me, my first episode that Shirley had given me to do as a solo composer, which was, I guess, my first professional opportunity, as having my own project to work on, was Be a Clown from Batman the Animated Series.
Okay.
And that was very special to me, just for that one fact. And I felt so emboldened, and I felt so responsible, and so it's everything Lolita was talking about, about Bruce, only it was with Shirley, because I wanted to do such a good job for her because of this incredible opportunity she'd given to me. So I did crazy amounts of research, and I mean, like, I had 3 little source pieces for the carnival scene in that episode, and so I ordered all these scores of band music from like different suppliers and studied like all these different carnival pieces just so that I could write these little ditties for the all for like 2 minutes or something. But I poured myself into it as if it were like the only job I would ever have. So, and I really felt like it came to fruition for me because I felt like I had done something that really, staked its claim within the series, and I showed her that I was capable, and that was the main thing. So I felt really good about that one. The other one is one of the first episodes of Justice League that I did, and at that time we were doing the Justice League at that time were 2-parters, so it was 1 hour, not just a half an hour. So the show that I'm referring to is called The Enemy Below with Aquaman.
Yep.
And that show is important to me because of what had happened with Warner Brothers and Warner Animation, and how we had transitioned from having live orchestras for all of our scores for Superman and Batman, and even Batman Beyond, we had live musicians. We transitioned into a place where we were not going to have any live musicians, and it was just at the advent of sampling technology, and I was very nervous, coming from the background that I come from, with live classical musicians, about whether I'd be able to express myself well or not with the new technology. So I kind of did the same thing with that episode as I did with Be a Clown, only I did it from a technological standpoint. I just poured myself into learning the software and trying to figure out, how can I make these boxes emote? How can I do this? And I learned a lot, and it was a grueling 3-week process of writing that first episode. I'm just talking about the half hour.
Yeah.
But I felt like when it was all said and done that I was able to say something expressive and meaningful, despite having it be computers and everything. Now, that's not to say that there's anything easy about doing that. In fact, it's way, way, way harder to do that with, an inanimate object than it is to just have beautiful musicians who are masters of their craft play.
Yeah.
It's so much easier. But I felt good about the fact that I was able to convey some kind of emotion for that episode. So those are my two.
Awesome. Yeah, we actually had a question down the line that I'll just ask now because you brought it up. For changing over from live orchestra, was that a budgetary thing, or was it just trying to figure out, or they wanted to use the new technology instead, or what was the story behind that?
It was a budget thing, and it was basic. I think it was also the fact that some of the powers that be were hearing sample music, and I guess somebody just decided, oh, it sounds good enough or whatever. Let's just and literally cutting, what was it, two-thirds out of the budget? I mean, it was enough of a cut that it was pretty much cost prohibitive to step on the stage. And we would, as far as I guess if you want to donate make absolutely no money, then we could have probably hired musicians.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is our living. So, but it required. I still have a writer's bump on my third finger from holding a pencil.
Oh, jeez.
So, I really thought I would, live my entire life with writing pencil to paper, and it forced me to, my husband and I, Mark Mattson is my husband, and he does my engineering and music editing. We both invested just, a ton of money in all this gear. I mean, and that was before Batman Beyond, but then we needed it for Justice League, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I know whenever, I watch, Mask of the Phantasm or something with, just a booming, awesome orchestral sound. And then I know when Justice League started, I immediately, or initially anyway, felt, very kind of let down by the at least quality of the instrumentation, thinking like, oh man, what are they doing? But then, even just 3 episodes, or I guess 6 if they're 2-parters or whatever, maybe it's 7, I don't know, episodes in with The Enemy Below Aquaman episode, there's a great, final battle sequence in the North Pole with a big bombastic orchestral sound, and I remember thinking like, oh, okay, this is going to be fine. So
you just kind of vilified everything I just thought about by just saying that. The fact that you thought that at that time, because that's all that was going through my mind was, oh my gosh, how can we make this believable, and how can we not have this be less than,
Yeah. Yeah, no,
we had a live group for the theme.
Right.
But after that it was growing pains, and luckily we have also Christopher is our equipment, sound, samples, library. He has everything, so it's like, Chris, what should we get? What's the next thing? Because totally. he listens to absolutely everything, and all the technology has come such a long way that at least it's getting a little bit more cost effective. But some of those early libraries, my gosh, it's like, you can buy almost a house or whatever for that in Iowa or somewhere. So,
it's kind of funny, actually. I'll mention, since we're speaking of live instruments, for years, there's a special feature on one of the Batman Beyond DVDs where I'm not sure, I can't remember the guy's name. I'm sure you guys will know. There's like a little feature about the guitar theme for the Return of the Joker movie, where you have like a live guitarist there in the studio playing it. He has really long blonde hair.
Yes, that's Kenny Wayne Shepherd is his name.
Okay. And but for some reason, I had it in my head for years that was Christopher Carter. When we like, it wasn't until maybe a year ago that I was like looking up pictures of you guys' faces for a different video, and oh my God, that's not Christopher Carter at all. So, yeah,
hilarious.
I mean, maybe that's a compliment. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
Well, I used to have long hair too. Again, I came from my rock and roll days, but no more.
Yeah. Yeah. So Michael, you are solely credited. I don't know if you worked together or not, but you're solely credited for the soundtrack for the Sub-Zero movie. And I really enjoy the music from that movie. I watched it all the time as a kid. So your character themes are nearly as iconic to me as the original Batman the Animated Series theme. Was there a reason you chose? Yeah, I was going to ask if there was a reason you chose to not use Shirley Walker's Batman theme in the movie, because we get a hint of the Danny Elfman Batman theme in the opening credits, but then every other, it's sort of an original tunes with the same sort of like rhythmic DNA as Shirley's theme.
Well, first, there's a lot going on in that question.
Sure, sorry.
Let me go back a little bit here and first say that absolutely both Lolita and Christopher were working with me on that project.
We need
in
to update
different
the IMDb,
capacities other than composing. They were orchestrating for me, and Lolita sat in the booth for me. And I mean, I could not have done that project without them. It was a huge undertaking. The decisions about the themes were made by the producers before I was asked onto the project. So when we had our first spotting session, I was told we're going to use the Danny Elfman theme for the opening because we wanted to replicate the original first Batman movie's opening, only have it be animated, where they go around the Bat logo. Mm-hmm. So they said, that's what we're going to do. So I had to procure that theme from Danny's people, and we orchestrated that for my orchestra and did it that way. And then as far as the Batman theme goes, I begged them to use Shirley's Batman theme. So just so you know, because I mean, let's not forget that I had lived with that for like 4 years, and I thought of it as being the Batman theme.
Right.
And they were just like, no, we want this to be our own thing. It's not really in the continuity with Bruce's shows, and this is our own show, and we need our own Batman theme. And I just turned white as a ghost because, well, no, seriously, what if somebody came to you and said, we need a new Batman theme? Uh-huh. I mean, how does that make you feel? It's like after all these other Batman themes that, everybody loves these themes, and it's like, and then you've got to write a new one, and it's supposed to stand up to Shirley's theme and to Danny's theme, and it's like, oh my God, what? I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And they were just like, no, you have to do it. And I was like, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't really have a lot of say in that, but I mean, okay, fine. I talked about, being uncomfortable and being challenged, and that was certainly a way to do that. So I screamed and yelled and wrote 14 different things and rolled around on the floor until I finally got something I was happy with. So that's pretty much how that came to be. Did I address everything that you asked?
I think so, yeah. Now that's interesting that you say that they approached you with it as if it was not, going to be in the same continuity and stuff, because it definitely follows up on like 6 different storylines from the animated series, so that's interesting.
Well, I think they just wanted because it was Randy Rogel and Boyd Kirkland, and neither of them had produced for the animated series, and I think they were just trying to stake their claim.
Yeah, this is our
No, I'm serious. It's important for creative people to say, this is where I belong in this, in this realm, and with this character, this is my part of that universe. And so I respected that, and I just thought, okay, well, if we're gonna do a theme, then I want to do something a little bit different. And I told them, I said, is it okay if I do an adventure theme for Batman instead of doing, just this dark brooding thing? Can I do something that has more of an adventure flavor and make it more about story than just about darkness?
Sure.
And they said, we'll give it a shot. And so they ended up liking what I did. So thank goodness.
Yeah, it does have a lot more kind of Indiana Jones adventure feel to it. Yeah.
Right. And that was the demographic. I mean, it was definitely for kids. And so I thought, well, maybe this will be a different way that kids can get excited about Batman.
And speaking of the Danny Elfman theme, was there a point where you guys were like instructed to stop using that theme, because it's in the first few episodes and it's of course in the theme song, but then after that, you start using Shirley's theme for the remainder of forever. So
I don't remember the
Shirley,
progression of that. Yeah,
Shirley was guiding that with the producer and the people at Warner Brothers. I mean, there was a lot of politics surrounding that, and so
gotcha.
They had to satisfy some requirements, and when they felt that they had satisfied those, then they focused on Shirley's theme.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So when the DCAU shows were currently on the air, was there a consistent workflow with how long you'd get to compose a soundtrack to each episode? Or were there times where you were given weeks and other times you were given just hours?
Well, hours, I would say no. I don't. Although sometimes nowadays it seems like it feels like hours when you need to do a revision and the dub stage wants something. I would say that we have been very fortunate with Warner Brothers in general, that we have a very nice schedule. I would say it's very rare that we are dealing with some of these, you hear about these situations where it's like, oh, I got to turn everything around in like 2 days or something. So I would say on average, it was throughout those years of orchestral stuff for BTAS and for Superman and even Batman Beyond. Wasn't it around 3 weeks from spot to
there was an odd episode where it was less, but it was mostly 3 weeks.
Not to say that necessarily we're using every single minute of that time, but it's nice to have that. It's nice to have that breathing room in between, just to creatively refresh. It's not about needing every single minute to compose. I mean, your brain needs a break to be able to come up with something good in between.
So.
Yeah, definitely. That's great that was a consistent thing for you guys. At least it sounds like. So this is kind of a comedic question, but there's a long running joke that you can sing any great Superman theme. You can sing the word Superman to, which includes the Superman animated series theme. And when you guys compose any of the theme songs, do you have lyrics in your head that you're kind of writing to, or does it just kind of come later?
I will say I absolutely come up with little things that most of the time I wouldn't even share with the producers that I'm doing it, but just as something to kind of jog the process and give an identity to it. Absolutely. I'll be singing, here is, whatever superhero's name, and you can sing along with it. And yes, totally.
Yeah, because I definitely,
No, I was just saying, I mean, for little themes, like I did the Ivy theme, and it's, I mean, you have to imagine a seventh below, but you can go, Ivy,
No, that's great. Yeah, I definitely, I've come up with, all the, the Justice League, that whole thing. So, so no, that's awesome.
Look, if we don't make up the words, then they will.
Yeah.
Because, I didn't have anything in my head for Justice League Unlimited, and all of a sudden I'm playing this thing for Bruce, and he's like, Justice League Unlimited, Justice League Unlimited.
That's really funny.
Oh, that works. Great. You know?
That's exactly what I sing to that song, so that's really funny.
Well, and you talk about Superman. Of course, I always think of John Williams' such iconic Superman theme. He actually has a conversation. He's asking a question. Ask the question. Ask the question. Dum, ba, 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 ba. What's the answer to the question?
Yeah, Superman.
Superman, of course. I mean, it's so brilliant.
Yeah, no, that's great.
When Shirley was asked to write the animated Superman theme, the discussions talked about, because they wanted Metropolis especially to be a kind of post-futurism in its architecture and feeling, and they were talking about art, music, and things that were very harmonically challenging. And Shirley wrote that, and she wrote this amazing, beautiful, wonderful, futuristic, forward-looking, very modern-sounding theme, and they just didn't get it. They didn't understand that at all, and so then they kind of came back to her sheepishly and said, "Yeah, we really want something that says Superman." And
so it's definitely on purpose. That's awesome.
So the only DCAU show not composed by you guys was Static Shock, which used music by Richard Wolff in Little Romeo. Was there a conscious decision to not have your style alongside Static, or was that show even offered to you?
We have sometimes a situation where if it's a new set of different set of producers than we normally work with, or even the same ones, but they want to kind of expand their, they want to try something new. If we get an opportunity and it says, oh, we're doing a Batman or whatever property is, but we want something completely different, something that we've never heard before, then it's like, well, if we've done all the other Batman, it doesn't really make sense for us to throw our hat in the ring, even if they end up sounding similar to what was already done.
You got to come up with a new Batman theme again.
Well, it's a very delicate thing because, sometimes you generally try to say yes to everything, to opportunities and figure out new ways to do things. But sometimes you need to know when to say, you know what, we're going to sit this one out and not even submit, not even, audition for this, because it's they don't even want the idea of us, but then they love us anyway, and then they hire us anyway.
Well, that's always a good outcome from that. Yeah. Recently, you guys got the chance to work on a new DCAU Bruce Timm project in Batman and Harley Quinn. And the movie is, like you talked about, how Killing Joke is sort of divisive among fans. Batman and Harley Quinn is similarly divisive for its kind of adult themes and stuff. But one of the best aspects that, for me personally at least, is hearing you guys' music back alongside the iconic character designs and voice actors. And was it fun to return to that universe, or did it feel like just another superhero project? Whatever, I do this all the time.
Gosh, I thought it was hilarious. I had a wonderful time with it. Well, for me, that one of the reasons I liked it is because Bruce had a really different idea about what he wanted to do with that movie. He didn't want it to be like other Batman things. He did it right after Killing Joke, and it was specifically because it was a comedy, and he needed some relief.
Sure, yeah.
No, I mean, he said so. He's just like, oh my God, we got to do something. What can we do after the Killing Joke? We got to do something fun. And so, he was coming at us with all sorts of different musical references, from the Pink Panther to the B-52s, and, really just wanted something that would be cool, but fun, adventurous, kind of almost James Bond-like, but not take itself too seriously. So I mean, so that's what it was, and I just found it really refreshing.
Did you guys work together on the main title theme for that, or was that a specific one of you?
You tell that story, guys.
Chris, you take it.
No one wants to talk about it.
No. We're taking turns. I'm trying to be respectful of our baton passing.
Yeah, it was, even if we all, might come up with motifs or things that we will work together on, one of us has to be in the hot seat to actually produce the track. And Michael, guys, I'm sorry, I can't remember I think we did contribute some bits of it, but it really ended up being Michael's final baby, and he just took it and ran with it, and he just nailed the style of it. And Bruce was kind of blown away that it would be so unique and fun. And they had specifically gone out. They don't. Bruce has even said they don't do like unique custom title sequences as much anymore, because they are cost prohibitive. But they did for this one, and it was. I thought between the visuals and Mike's theme that he pretty much knocked it out of the park for them.
Yeah, that's definitely like the first moment that you realize, like, oh, this is going to be a different movie than I thought it was. So,
and it even begins. It intentionally begins with the Batman sound, and then turns a corner.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah, he wanted that very specifically. The funniest thing for me about it was that we had submitted a bunch of different ideas, and he was kind of lukewarm on them. And then I had this little idea that was sort of an unformed lump of clay, and Lolita was just like, oh, let's just send it to him. And so I was like, okay, are you sure? Because it's not really very well done. I mean, just in terms of like the sound of it and everything. And she's like, just send it on, let's see what he says. And he was just like, oh my God, this is it. And I was just like, oh, okay.
All right.
Well, we went through several iterations on it. You know, because he originally thought he wanted one thing, and when I did that thing, he heard it and he's just like, no, this is not going to work. And so we talked about it more, and eventually ended up with what you hear now, which is a heck of a lot more energetic. I'd done something that was a lot more laid back and a lot more kind of cool and martini glass in your hand kind of a thing. And that is not what this is. This is much more like, you know, these boots were made for walking.
Yeah. You wrote more of a Catwoman kind of theme first.
Yeah, exactly. It was more cool, more laid back, more kind of, you know, very slinky, and but I think he needed something with a lot more energy. And now that I see the main title together with the visuals, I understand it.
Yeah.
This hammer is made for smashing.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you're writing music for other cartoons, do you approach it the same way as like a Batman project, or do you do something differently because maybe it's, say, Marvel instead of DC?
It all comes down to the collaboration with the producers. It's almost always the producers of for television, and what their vision is, how they see their project.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's more of a symphonic kind of approach or guitar driven, or a little bit of everything. It's I don't think it's all that different. It comes down to relationships and building trust with the people that we're working with.
Mm-hmm.
And always, if we have a choice of meeting in person or just doing it by uploading stuff, I mean, at least initially, it's really important to get that face to face and get them so that they're comfortable critiquing things and feel comfortable that they can share their thoughts and ideas, and us not crumble if they don't like something that we've done.
Yeah.
So it's growing pains. It's a personal. I just remember when I started out, boy, anybody wanting me to change anything, I would just have a nervous breakdown about it and cry and all that. It's like, now it's like, oh, and now if I have to change a whole 2-minute action scene, I'm a little bit upset, but you got to do it, right? You got to do it. But I think the styles are, I don't think that it's different necessarily. Like, oh, we're working with this other universe and the whole working relationship is different. It's just, we have to make sure to not confuse the universes. That's for sure.
Yeah. Use the Batman theme for an Avengers cartoon or something.
Right. Oh my gosh.
We could tell some stories, but I would prefer not to. As far as oh, I almost said something wrong. The meeting. It's like, oh, I did. It's like, oh my gosh, wrong universe, wrong character.
Do you guys get character notes on oh, this person's gonna fall in love with this person, that kind of thing, pre-episode, so that you know what you're going into, or is it just kind of you get to watch the episode and write whatever comes to your mind?
We're all big fans of the shows that we work on.
Yeah.
So every time we get to see a new episode, there's this sense of, oh my God, I get to see what's happening next in the storyline before such and such. And I will say, particularly in working with Greg Weisman and Brandon Vietti, they have extensive notes about what characters are going to go where. And so they almost always have to give us a little bit of spoiler here, but this is going to happen in 15 episodes. So if you want to plant that seed of it now. So personally, it's thrilling to get to see what happens next. And I love it when they want to kind of spill a little bit, but other times they don't. Other times they kind of wait for it to unfold along, episode by episode.
Yeah. If a show has a shorter life, again, with Spectacular Spider-Man, Greg definitely had everything figured out what would happen after the first 2 seasons. And then because of all the whole, because of that being a Sony property, the Sony show, that's definitely one show I'm really sad that we didn't get to do even more, but it's, I wanted to see all the stories evolve.
Yeah. No, that's cool to know that you get those kind of notes so that you can, put a little motif or character theme here that you'll come back to in a much more grand way later. Yeah. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, Young Justice, definitely the fans should listen for that, because there are seeds that are being planted early on in this season. And so we're hoping that, we get to go to, the next season and the next season and the next season. And so we finally are evolved into this, humongous theme.
Right. And are you guys already done composing for this season, or are you still working on it?
No, we're still we're actually somewhere near the middle, I think, right now. but I know that they're going to be releasing them in little blocks.
Oh, okay.
So at least I think that's what they said.
You heard it here first, folks.
No. I'm not. I don't think I'm saying anything that hasn't already been announced.
No, I got you. You're good.
I think it's going to premiere in. Whenever the DC service premieres, I think it's supposed to premiere within that.
Right.
The DC universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. No spoilers here.
Yeah. So tell us where
Especially
Artemis is going to
that,
end
you
up.
know.
Yeah. Does Kid Flash come back? Yeah. No. Don't say anything. I don't want to know.
Hey, watch the show. It's a great show. It's worth watching.
Exactly.
It is,
it definitely
I
is.
really think the fans are going to be happy with it because we're blown away by it. So.
Awesome. Well, we got a last couple little wrap-up questions here. Did you guys have any favorite superheroes as kids? We ask everybody this question. No is the answer.
Well, my favorite superhero was Superman. He's been my favorite since I was a little kid.
Okay.
I relate to him because of where he's from and kind of how he is as a person and how real he can be. At least he's real to me. I know for a lot of people he doesn't seem real to them because he seems to not have any flaws, which I think is funny because the biggest flaw, of course, is that he doesn't want to be a superhero. He just wants to be a guy.
Yeah, there's no people that say that don't read Superman comics, obviously. So
there you go.
I growing up, I wasn't as into the superhero thing, so my superheroes are more like real life people, you know, Martin Luther King and Mother Teresa and Lech Walesa. You know, when the wall came down, human beings that actually can impact such dramatic change in the world. And that's maybe also why I go back to the Batman thing. I mean, I watched the Batman, so, you know, after school I would watch that and the pows and the zows, and I just thought that was just so fun and quirky. I didn't necessarily think of that as like superhero. It was just like fun entertainment.
I didn't read comic books growing up, and in my particular young childhood, there wasn't really, other than the Super Friends cartoon, there wasn't a lot of places to watch superheroes. So I gravitated more into the sci-fi world, and so like Next Generation, Jean-Luc Picard, that was my superhero. He was my
Adam's happy to hear that he's a big Star Trek guy.
And
I did watch Wonder Woman. Yeah. Wonder Woman too.
Yeah.
Oh
when
my
I
God,
was
she was wonderful. Linda
Wonder
Carter.
Woman, and honestly, you know, I have to put in a plug. I'm the president of the Alliance for Women Film Composers.
Oh, sweet.
And the fact that, you know, superhero women are really rocking it now, and it's there are a lot of it was always like, oh, but this is our target audience, boys to 6 to 14 or something. It's like, no, there are a lot of little girls out there watching, and they want to be superheroes too. And it's great that there's more attention to role modeling and not just having, you know, guys do this and girls do this, and, you know, girls don't get to be superheroes. They certainly are superheroes, and so hats off to the creatives who make that happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, we were mentored by a superhero woman.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that Adam and I are gonna, after this call, go like kick ourselves for not asking you 20 other questions that we think of later. But I know, I'll go ahead and ask if there's any upcoming projects that you guys are working on right now besides Young Justice that you can tell us about, superhero or otherwise.
Well, yes. I mean, at the other universe, we have some stuff going on in the other universe. I don't know if we want to talk, if you're interested in that, or we have to stay in the DC universe.
No, whatever's fine.
We were working on Marvel Rising, which is a really cool new project for Marvel, which is, you know, again, going back to the girls, it's a lot of, you know, it's about a diverse group of superheroes, and it's, I think it's going to be really powerful for especially, I think, for girls that are now, you know, really into being superheroes themselves. And then we are working with something with Bruce Timm, but we can't say what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, we are in the midst of that. And I will put in a plug for my partner Christopher, who has an awesome personal project, KR Protocol, which is you got to check it out. It's amazing, amazing music that he's put out there. And Chris, tell about your thing at Convergence, what you were doing with
Well, thank you, Lolita. I'm thrilled to be working on a side project called the KR Protocol, KR being my first two initials, but also Krypton. And it's kind of fusing my love of superheroes and storytelling in an EDM format. And I premiered it at Convergence, which is a big superhero sci-fi fantasy convention in Minneapolis just this last month. I have a brand new EP called Activate, which has 4 songs on it. And one of which is Legion, is sung by Josh Keaton, who was Peter Parker on Spectacular Spider-Man and is Shiro on DreamWorks Voltron, and is a fabulous singer. And I'm also doing kind of superhero remixes. So I on the dance floor spun, the Hans Zimmer Wonder Woman theme, but with a dance beat, and
cool.
Bringing in sci-fi and fantasy scores into the dance club.
Awesome. That's pretty unique. I like that. That's all we have for you guys. I'm sorry it took about an hour, but I hope that that's okay with your schedules and all that stuff.
Well, this has been so much fun, you guys. Thanks so much.
Great questions.
Thank you. We'll have to get you guys back for a follow up. On the ones that we realized that we totally should have asked him about the one Batman Beyond episode where blah blah blah. So because I just realized going through this, we didn't really ask you any Batman Beyond stuff, and I know Christopher was pretty involved in that specifically.
Not all of us were totally. It was definitely all of us were, and we were under Shirley. She was still supervising composer on that. Yeah. We would be happy to come back and join you and talk about Batman Beyond and all the other stuff. I mean, we've been so thrilled with the privilege to work on so many amazing cartoons and animated series, and we'd love to share more stories with you guys.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much again for coming on the show, and we'll send you the link to this as soon as it's up, and we'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Great. Thanks, and good luck with all of your music that you're writing. And
Thank you.
You look like
that. We're back. We're back now.
Oh, how do I know? You looked like you wanted to say something.
It was a secret. It was a secret.
Went away.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was. It's been so long. It's been like over half an hour since we were last talking.
That was such a long amount of time between the last time we talked.
You're still working on that same beer.
Sweaty.
Wow.
Comic relief, though. I read the newest Doomsday Clock finally. If you want to talk about
we can talk about that. Number 6. Let me grab my copy real quick. Can you wait like 10 seconds?
Yeah. So, the last time that I heard, I was in Fred Meyer, and I saw Ted's mom in there.
Oh my god, that's not true. Don't talk about my mom like that.
Have you seen my son Ted?
It was nothing. My mom. Hey mom, if you're listening.
What?
Hey mom.
How'd you hear that?
I can hear everything.
We toys can hear everything. Yeah, I was gonna end the story with did you hear how my son Ted's an asshole?
Thanks,
I was like,
Mom.
Wow, I had no idea.
She knows.
I was like, yeah, I'm aware.
I got my copy.
Anyway, did we actually talk? Okay, serious note. Did we talk about this already?
I don't think we have yet. I think I might have mentioned I don't think you had read it yet. I think I gave a few relatively spoiler-free comments in the last one.
Okay.
I tried to.
Yeah, it's the Joker is leading Mime and Marionette around, showing him his gang, and they run into Mr. Freeze goons. And
those are so funny. Yeah, and he kind of convinces them to switch over to Joker because they're trying to rendezvous with Freeze. All the villains are meeting together in a warehouse, and they're on their way there, and they're like, "Well, Mr. Freeze hasn't gotten in touch with us. I guess we'll work for the Joker now."
Yeah, and I really like how they walk in there, and the Riddler's in the middle of some big speech, or is it the Riddler?
Yeah, it is the Riddler. Yeah.
Everybody's banded together they're gonna do this thing, and then the Joker comes in, and everyone's just, God damn it!
Yeah,
we're doing something.
We were productive until now. And I like how the Mr. Freeze's goons come in. They're like, "Oh, it's Mr. Freeze. Oh, he's gonna hate it.
Shit.
He's gonna hate it when he sees we're with the Joker now." Yeah, that part was hilarious.
Yeah, this whole I'm liking the DC stuff from this a lot more than the Watchmen stuff for whatever reason. Like I thought it was gonna be the other way around, but I really like them interacting with the new characters, and the Watchmen stuff is definitely interesting. Like it's not bad at all. Like it's all good stuff. I think. I just for whatever reason like. I don't know. DC by itself is getting stale to me a little bit, and I've not even been reading comics like regularly for more than like 3 years now. And but just like I don't know, like if the Joker shows up, if it's not like a big event, it's just gonna be forgettable in 6 months. If in like a normal Batman comic, like. Well, I don't know. A thing happens. Bane did a thing. I am Bane. Who remembers I am Bane? That did nothing.
I skipped that arc. So
yeah, but
yeah.
So
I kind of want to go back and read it though, because I do like Tom King's run, and there was a really cool issue. I talked about this on the last episode about Joker and Catwoman. Like right before the marriage, the two of them had a little fight, and that was really cool. So
yeah, I mean, it's not like I don't think any of it's bad or anything, but I guess just like it's not going to be like. One of the famous stories, you know, and I think that this will definitely be like a 30 years from now, like, oh, there was that thing that they did, like no one thought that would ever happen. So
no, for sure. Well, this one actually especially
by the end.
This had a big focus on the new Watchmen characters. I don't want to say the Watchmen characters because they weren't in the originals, but we get the origin story for Mime and Marionette, and I thought that was really cool. Very sort of like circus arts.
Macabre it fit really well with like the symmetry of the art. Like they would have a lot of like this panel of someone's face would reflect like the next one over where they're a little kid or whatever, or the stories would like blend together with like an overlap like that pretty well. I really liked that.
Yeah, the 9-panel grid. I mean, that's like a classic Watchmen thing, but it's really effective. Here.
It actually took me a second to like, because it starts off I think at like the end of Marionette's story with her father like being like killed by the mob or whatever it was.
That's right.
And, or the police, the corrupt police or something, right? And but then it goes back to before that happens, where they come in like, you got the shipment, old man, or whatever. Like put up the you gonna give us our stuff. And then, and then it goes back to, by the end of it, it goes back to where we started. But I didn't realize that wasn't like that didn't already happen. So I was confused for like 3 pages, like what is happening? But well, it turned out pretty okay. I liked that Mime has just always been like mute.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't say things. That's cool.
I thought it was really cool that the two of them have kind of been together since they were children too. So they have this long history of like growing up together.
And we haven't caught back up with like Rorschach and Batman yet. Like it's been at least an issue or two.
We've caught up with Batman because Joker wheels him in
a
wheelchair, and that's how he interrupts the meeting.
We didn't catch up with him. He was just there.
He's been knocked out, and Joker's hanging out with Mime and Marionette, and they get down in there.
Okay.
But Rorschach
was it this one or the previous one that ended with the comedian walking in and then Batman's like sorry, not the comedian. Oh my god. There's so many characters.
So the last issue ended with Rorschach and Saturn Girl getting together and finding Johnny Thunder found the Green Lantern battery.
Yes,
I think all of them are together right now.
God, am I wrong? Like every issue I need to just read the previous issues in a row.
I know, or at least just flip through it. Yeah, you got to sometimes, especially since this book comes out every other month.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Again, those people that post out their comics too much.
Yeah, it happens.
But no, it was really good. I don't have a lot to say. Like, all that we end up doing with Doomsday Clock until it's done is just kind of recount what happened and go, oh, I like that or I didn't like that. Like, I look forward to a point where we can be like, oh,
as a whole,
the thing that Dr. Manhattan did, he did this thing and it that was the thing from issue 1 and oh my god, that kind of thing. Like, I look forward to that because it hasn't really happened yet. It's just been like giving you more and more starting points. And
well, I have a theory because in issue 1, I guess the only thing we really see is that he probably killed Paul and Ma Kent to make Clark Kent have a more tragic backstory. Because remember, that's like the end of issue 1 is him having that nightmare. of their deaths. Yeah. And so I think there's something to that tied up with the whole Superman theory, which is dealt with a bit in this issue. There's that guy, what's his name? Typhoon. Yeah. Typhoon's that villain with the blue skin. I think he's like an obscure Firestorm villain. I could be wrong.
Oh yeah, no, he was. They do a little. I've been skipping
the
them
stuff
most
at the very
issues,
end.
But I read his little biography.
Well, yeah, I want to talk about that in a second because it was really cool. Yeah, because it added a lot. Well, we'll talk about it now. So the whole stuff in the back, like, so there's rumors that Typhoon, who's got all these like hydro powers, he is like a villain, but secretly maybe a government agent who is impersonating a villain. And this whole Superman theory is that the government is responsible for creating various metahumans around the world. Like it's a on purpose sort of thing. And so
like otherwise it's too coincidental that they keep popping up everywhere or whatever.
Especially nuclear powered characters if they were involved in some sort of nuclear accident.
Yeah.
So which very much involved with Dr. Manhattan possibly. So Typhoon, he gets killed. He's assassinated by the comedian, and at the end of the issue, the bonus material is like all these files from the Department of Extranormal Operations or whichever government agency sends them, and it's like closing the case on Typhoon. So he actually was a government agent, and it's someone's requesting to like reveal the truth to the world so they can see the agent for like who he really was. And then I think it might be Amanda Waller, but someone like signs off and they're like, nope, we're not going to do that. And they have like the most basic obituary. It doesn't, it's not like too damning of him as I think it still mentions that he was a supervillain. Yeah, it does. It's basically like, it doesn't dwell on it, but the whole obituary is like this, his secret identity is dead. If you want to donate to the victims of his criminal actions, you can do it at this fund.
Or Kickstarter.
Yeah. And that's like his whole
I
obituary.
kind of got the same vibe from like when in JLU when Cadmus is like, hey, Captain Adam, remember when you were loyal to the military? We need you to do that again, kind of a thing. Like not the same like plot, but the same like kind of type of person. And he's also like a blue guy, so
yeah. Yeah, you get a couple of other hints in here of some of the other metahumans. It's suggesting Giganta and the Creeper are also involved in this. Like,
I must have missed that somehow. But that's cool.
Yeah. Their photos are just kind of hanging out here in the file too. So,
the Creeper (parentheses Jack Ryder close parentheses).
I think
is that what you mean?
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's the one.
That's the one.
I also read the newest Justice League, the Legion of Doom. Number 1 kind of thing.
Oh, I think that was Justice League 5 because I think number 6 is out already.
Oh God!
But
damn.
I know. Yeah.
I
have it, but I haven't read number 6 yet. So
that must have come out like yesterday or whatever. Then like this week.
I think it was a week before yesterday.
James. But anyway, no, it's good. Very brief discussion of it, but it's it doesn't really feel like it's about the Legion it's more about Lex Luthor, like personally. Like I expected, like, oh, the Legion of Doom number 1, like it's going to be like something from their side of the story that we haven't noticed yet.
And it was technically, but it was like a prequel. Or like
but
filled in the gaps.
It was showing how like Lex Luthor has been like getting these signs, and he's been in on this for a while. He's been putting this together for some time, and he's like going back in time and being like, Sinestro, don't do what you're doing, do this instead. And he's like, oh, okay.
Is it a time travel thing? Or it's like I think in that instance he just was able to like do that temporal jump sort of thing. Because
I took that as like
it was time travel.
He went back
because he went all the way forward first.
Yeah,
he went like to near the end of the
the super future. Yeah,
right.
Where everything's dead and exploding, and like it's because of you bitch. And
yeah. No, that was super cool. The whole issue was a lot of fun.
That was kind of a Rock of Ages style jump to the future. Like, oh no, what's going on?
This is, like I've said, I thought this whole series is very reminiscent of Grant Morrison's JLA, which I love. I'm
hoping it's not like a placebo effect of like, it's the lineup that I want. It's the writers that I want. It's the artists that I want. Like all this stuff.
I hope it's
if
you're enjoying
it, I think
it,
it's actually good.
I'm enjoying it.
I guess it doesn't matter as long as I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
That's how I feel. Yeah, I think this is the best the Justice League book has been in a long time, and
Yeah.
and I'm a very vocal Jeff Johns fan, and I even thought his like the Dark Side War and all that, like he had some really strong moments in that series, but this is, I don't know, I think it's just like Martian Manhunter is what does it for me. I think Martian Manhunter is just like a critical part of the JLA.
Yeah, he's an integral member that they.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's been
it's
missing
not like
for
I
a while.
hate Cyborg, like I enjoy Cyborg being there, but like I don't think I think he's good as like another member, not like a replacement. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I like that. I hope Cyborg sticks around. I'm glad that he's still there. So, yeah.
That's all I read. So
I was
we have
I was gonna
so
mention,
many. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I think you took both. I had two separate ones.
Oh, whoops.
You're okay. So I read Sandman Universe by Neil Gaiman, or actually it's like by Neil Gaiman and a bunch of the other writers and artists that are doing books in the new Sandman universe. So basically Vertigo Comics is rebooting Sandman into more of an imprint and a franchise. So there's a few books that are coming up in the next few months, and this book was sort of like the prequel. Like it's the book that you would read to see if you're interested in reading any of the other series.
Number 0.
Yeah, sort of, kind of. The gist
Who
of
does
it,
that and then doesn't do issues very frequently?
who knows? But yeah, the gist of it here is like Dream, who's the main character of Neil Gaiman's Sandman epic from the 90s, is missing, and he is kind of the keeper of the dream world. And so since he's been gone, it's all been kind of falling into chaos, and aspects of magic are kind of seeping into the real world, and it's just really chaotic. So there's a few books coming out that are spinning out of this. One of them being The Dreaming.
Is it Neil Gaiman?
What? Well, he helped write this number 0 issue, but the rest of the series are by other people.
Okay.
And I don't actually have their names in front of me right now, so I can't tell you. But there are 4 upcoming books. One of them, The Dreaming, which is set in the dream world, and it's about this new character who's super powerful, and I guess just like what she has to do to help save that universe. There's another book called Books of Magic, which Neil Gaiman also wrote in, I think, the late 90s. I forget when it was exactly published, but the original Books of Magic is so much fun. It's a 4-chapter book that just explores all the magical nature of the DC universe. So you see people like Etrigan make cameo appearances and like every sort of magical thing you can think of. This boy he's a lot like Harry Potter. He looks just like Harry Potter. He's got glasses.
He's a witch boy?
He is
Clarion?
He is a witch boy, but he's not Clarion and he's not Harry Potter. But his name is Tim Hunter. Tim Hunter. Yeah, in the original series, he's like guided by the Phantom Stranger and Dr. Occult and John Constantine and like basically just the trench coat brigade of the DC universe. They show him
just in case.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so that's Tim Hunter. He's going to be in another Books of Magic series. And there are 2 more. There's House of Whispers, which I actually don't know much about. So that's happening. I forget the details.
You could have just made that up. That's not a thing.
The description here, it says, the world of voodoo mythology crashes into the dreaming. I do remember this now from the book. There's like a crocodile creature with a black top hat who's pretty cool.
Okay.
It's set in like New Orleans, like voodoo, sort of magic like that. So, yeah,
the Princess and the Frog villain. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the last one is Lucifer, which is like the Fox TV show. Or it wasn't NBC. Was it Fox? I forget who did Lucifer.
It's not CW, I don't think. So
no.
It's something else.
Yeah,
it's
but
got Trisha Helfer in it, who's number 6 in Battlestar Galactica. All right.
Yeah, that series is based off the original Lucifer comic that spun out of the original Sandman. So now this is like this is like a reboot of that.
I had
Lucifer
no idea they were connected.
show.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, so that's Sandman Universe. I read number 0. I think I'm gonna probably read The Dreaming out of all those. I was interested in that one.
Okay.
But yeah, and then I'll mention this just really briefly. I also read a book called Roughneck, which was written and drawn by Jeff Lemire or Lemire.
Okay.
I don't know how you say his last name, but that's okay.
I don't either, so in this case, I won't correct you.
Yeah, I'm going to be at NC Comic-Con in Bull City, Durham in November, where he is going to be there. So I'm going to meet him, and I'm going to ask him how he says his last name.
How the hell do you say your name?
No, I'll just listen to someone else say his name first.
It'll be like Limier or something like weird that you don't expect.
I won't ask him and just listen to the person in front of me.
Maybe it's like Lemier, like it's French.
There you go. Roughneck was really cool. It was a graphic novel that was like done as a graphic novel, not individual issues. Even though it has chapters, it was just published as one big hardback book. And so I read it in one sitting, read it in a night, and it was about this hockey player who's living in this small town in Canada. So it's like it's really Southern Gothic, even though it's set in Canada. Just in the like small country town feel sort of thing.
Hey, that's near me, but not really.
I don't know what part of Canada. It's a big place, so.
Yeah, it's near most places.
Yeah. So this guy's like best friends with the local cop, but he this ex-hockey player just gets really drunk in bars and just looks for fights. Like he's usually picks fights with people who deserve them. Like he's kind of a vigilante, but he's just like this big guy just looking for a violent outlet. And so eventually his little sister's like a junkie, comes back to live with him, and her boyfriend, her baby daddy, is looking for her. And so he has to like protect her from him. And it's a really cool book, pretty intense, but beautiful art, and
not very similar to any like superhero-y thing we normally read.
No. And I try to jump around. I try not to just read capes and tights, although I did read strictly like superheroes and DC comics for years before I got into the indie scene. So there's a lot of good stuff out there. Yeah, I follow Jeff. I read and basically everything he does. Jeff L.
Good old Jeff L.
Mr. L.
Jeffel. I see comics like that on the shelf, and then I go like, that's something I should read, and then I don't. So,
well,
I admire your courage.
I mean, he's a pretty popular writer and artist, so he's done stuff for DC. Like Jeff has. We're not saying his last name. We're on a first name basis.
Jeff.
So he has.
Good old Jeff.
He wrote Animal Man when DC did their New 52 launch, and he also did Green Arrow at the same time. And he's done some other stuff since. I think he might be doing Hawkman. No, he did the Hawkman special that was part of Metal, but I don't think he's actually doing the book now. So he jumps in the superhero world every now and then too. That's all. That's all I got.
Cool. So what I would like to do now, my phone is dying quickly, and all of these things are on my phone, and I think so. We have 7 messages from people.
Ooh, let's do it.
So we got to go like hyper free
or charge your phone or charge your phone
through this. Yeah. Okay. So at Ironman14JH on Twitter says, "Hey, I have a question for you guys. Would you say the simplified Bruce Timm style from STAS and TNBA is just in the jail and JLU, or do you say there's some BTAS season 1 through 3 details and stuff mixed in jail and JLU? I know it's an odd question, but it was something I've been thinking about from one of your podcasts. So I don't know if you have anything to say on this personally.
Well, I would say yes, because there are strictly characters like Dr. Milo who appear in JLU. He's a good example. We see Hugo Strange for a second, but he was ridden out of that later episode and replaced with Dr. Moon. Is that right?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. Okay. And then like there's other hints here and there of BTAS. I mean, like, well, let's use STS for an example. The Demon Reborn, Ra's al Ghul's the villain there, and there's definitely references to his appearances in BTS, because I think that's the first and only time we see him in that updated animation style.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool.
Well, we see like one shot of him in the Batman Beyond one when you see like him inside Talia's brain or whatever. But yeah, no, there's I've always thought this was weird, because like there's certain characters that they'll take that appeared on like New Batman Adventures of Superman that they'll update to a more Justice League design. Like Darkseid is an example. He got a little more Kirby looking than STAS. let's see, what's another example?
Joker, maybe. Joker got a reboot and design to look more like his Return of the Joker appearance in Batman Beyond.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like then there's other characters like Firefly or Luminous or whatever that'll show up and they're just copy paste exactly how they looked in the other thing. And I know that
got
they're
a suit.
They're very like brief appearances, so it's not that huge of a deal. But I always thought it was weird that like characters like Superman get a change to look slightly updated, but like Lois Lane looks identical to how she did in the other cartoons and stuff. And for the most part, like the art updates are just like how muscular people are, like how detailed the muscularness, the muscles are, or people's facial features and that kind of a thing. Like I think they kind of realized that maybe the TNBA STAS stuff was a little too simplified, like a little too like Looney Tunes push toward Animaniacs kind of a thing. Yeah. And then they kind of like brought back some of the BTAS detail by the time of, but it's still like streamlined enough, like simplified enough to where it fits in the kind of TNBA more toward that than BTAS, because BTAS is a lot less rigid and a lot less it's harder to be on model with those characters because they're very like
they're kind of curvy,
rounded
there's a lot of wrinkles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we kind of adapt that kind of thing for Legacies every once in a while. Like I'll make a creative decision, or we will together for like updating. So like we did with Robin in his 2 appearances so far, where like we gave him highlights on his costume and we made them green and stuff like that, because we feel like, you know, maybe if he had appeared on JLU, he might have been updated to look like that. Or same with Batgirl, we updated her a little bit, brought back some of the BTAS detail to her face and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think we try to stay true to what we, as like super fans of these shows, believe that they might have done had this happened. But it's also quite possible that they would have just put back, like for instance, Supergirl is technically updated from her STAS character design in JLU, not from not the new costume, but like even just her first appearance, because her nose on STAS is just one line, just one little tiny line that's like, here's a little nose, cute little button. And then in JLU they add the bridge of her nose back into it.
Oh wow.
And so like
I never noticed that.
Yeah, so like they do that with the girls a lot, is like they'll be like, oh, the like Harley Quinn is like that in Batman and Harley Quinn. They added the bridge of her nose back in. That's like the only change. Yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah. The more you knows. Okay, let's go to the next one. Same person. Oh no, sorry. Yep, same person. Okay. Remember in JLU when Wonder Woman was made out of clay and brought to life by Hades and Hippolyta, or the help with Hades? Yes, I do.
I do too.
In the JL episode Paradise Lost, Hades realizes Hippolyta has a daughter and even wonders if she is as loving as her mother. Was Hades lying?
Wait.
I think first off, what?
You mean
what?
Wait, Hades lying about helping carve Diana out of clay? Is that what you mean?
Sure. I think like the question is how, like in Paradise Lost, they probably didn't know that they were gonna write him in as like the father, the molten clay father. So he says like, Hippolyta, you didn't tell me you had a daughter. And then later he's like, oh, I helped make you.
That's right.
So like, why would he say that kind of? But I attribute that to the same as Doomsday saying, I just came here to see the best this planet had to offer. I am not impressed. And then later turning out to be a Cadmus thing, like they just kind of retcon it a little bit. It's not that huge of a deal. It's just a little weird. I don't know.
Well, I think it was like, I think he might have been lying when he appeared and was like, oh, you didn't tell me you have a daughter. He knew who she was. It was more of like, maybe like you didn't tell your daughter about me, might have been what he was saying in the context of it.
I've always interpreted that line, like watching it again, knowing that he helped her, or he at least says that. I've interpreted that line as like, maybe like he and Hippolyta got together and they, they're in love, blah, blah, blah. And they want a kid or something, like they're going to do that. And then like, he's like helping her mold Diana, but they don't bring her to life. And then he gets tossed into Tartarus, like, oh, you got to go in there forever. And then without him, she brings Wonder Woman to life. And so then when he says, like, you didn't tell me you had a daughter, it's him saying, like, fuck you. You did that without me. What the hell? Like, we were supposed to do that together. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
All right. That's another one. he's talking about a suggestion for the this is the same person again. A suggestion for the male segment name was the Cosmic Treadmail. which I said was very creative and clever, but the only time we see the Cosmic Treadmill in the DCAU is like one Justice League Adventures issue, which is probably not canon. So it's like, I don't know, it's I like it, but I also kind of just like calling it Untitled Male Segment. I don't know, that's just me. But I don't always get what I want, because Ted has a say as well.
It'll get a title one day. It'll get a title.
Sure.
You guys
I think
keep
just
at
nothing
it.
has struck us as like, oh, that's it. That's the perfect thing. But we appreciate input from people.
Keep it coming.
Okay, here's another one. This is from their name got cut off. I think it's from our
Jeff Lemire.
No.
Okay.
I think it's from the No Justice, No Peace, or something like that. It's a guy that comments on a lot of our stuff.
Thanks. I agree. No justice, no peace.
Yeah, for sure. I apologize if that's not who this is. I accidentally cut off their name, but I think that anyway. He says, so you guys take questions. Actually, I'm gonna double check this, because I don't want to get this wrong.
No, I think you're right. Actually, I do remember this comment.
This is on our last video.
You're
on
correct.
Our last podcast episode. Hey, don't play the podcast. I just wanna find this.
Okay. You're right. You're right,
though. This is from Switzerland.
Oh
2
my
words.
gosh! Wow.
Sorry about that. Okay. So you guys take questions from the comment section like this one? Well, I do indeed happen to have a few questions, and you guys can choose to either answer in the form of a comment or in the next 12th level intellects. I mean, if that's cool with you guys. Okay, number 1. Are there any DCAU characters / concepts that have yet to be used in other media that you'd like to see more of in the future? Like, say, Red Claw from BTAS, Volcana from STAS, though the latter is also the name of a Marvel character, so there might be difficulty with that. Well, they'll probably think of something.
I agree about Red Claw, for sure.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I was about to say something I can't say out loud. Never mind. Okay.
Okay.
No,
No, that's a good example. I don't have a better like thing that I can think of right now that's like just DCAU. I'm not a huge fan of how Livewire has been interpreted into Supergirl. I think that's her only live action appearance so far.
I'd like to see more Baby Doll.
she's
a good Batman villain.
That'd be an interesting one to try to interpret into a show or movie.
A lot of Batman Beyond villains, I think, like Ink. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, Batman Beyond in general needs to be brought. I mean, they have an ongoing comic, and it is ongoing. Like, it definitely takes place years after the show and continues on with his life, and it's great to see that. But whenever I read, and I do read it every month, I keep up with the current title. But it just always feels like a bit of an alternate universe to me. Like, it's still very familiar to the show, but just like a little further along.
Well, this is like set in the Rebirth stuff, I think, or at least like a kind of alternate Rebirth future or something like that. So it's not like GCAU really.
It's also kind of post like Future's End was a really big event that redefined Batman Beyond, and like the current series looks back on Future's End as a major incident, and they've now had to like rebuild all of the world from that. So now it's very much more reminiscent to Batman Beyond, but it's like people still talk back about, oh, that whole Future's End disaster where we had to like, and I know fix the whole world.
Batman Beyond characters, some Batman Beyond characters are not like original characters. Like Blight's basically Dr. Phosphorus, and Spellbinder already existed, but like a lot of them are reinterpreted or like
Royal Flush Gang,
futuristic Royal Flush Gang existed, but they're like futuristic cool versions of them that we haven't seen before, and I think that it would be nice to see some of those kinds of things happen. Not like take those characters, but like take a character that already exists and no one really cares about and spin them into a better version for a movie or something.
Yeah. Who's that animator on Instagram that we follow who does a lot of character designs?
Tommy Tejeda.
Yeah, he just released a splicer design the other day that was based off Rob Zombie. It was pretty awesome. I liked it. I don't know. Just look him up. It's pretty cool.
He's this week he's been posting a lot of robot like
a lot of Iron Man.
He posted his like design for the Golem thing from Batman Beyond, the big robot. And but he also has been posting like 6 or 7 different like trial and error pre-designs for it. Like they didn't
cool.
like this one, so I did a different one and whatever. So that was pretty cool.
I saw that, and I thought that the first Golem design that he did, or Golem is Lord of the Rings Golem.
Sure.
Yeah. The first design had
he designed Smeagol from Lord of the Rings.
But the first design for the Batman Beyond character had like an eye on the suit.
Yeah.
It looked very Brother Eye, like OMAC inspired, which is funny because it would have been like years before the Infinite Crisis version of OMAC.
It was ahead of his time.
And OMAC is all about Futures End. That whole like Futures End thing is because of Brother Eye and OMAC. So.
Yeah. The
synchronicity.
The half of his like pre-designs they had like backward knee like chicken legs or like bird leg things. Like they had like you know what I mean? Where like the knees are pointing the wrong direction. And I actually thought that looked a lot cooler for a robot than what we ended up getting because now it's just like a big dude or whatever. But it's still really cool to see those. Anyway, we got a little off topic. He says, personally, I'd like to see more of Ink from Batman Beyond. She was an interesting and formidable opponent for Terry in the show. I'd also like to see more Roxy Rocket. I mean, we did get to see her as a minor character in White Knight.
Yes. Which I think Baby Doll was in that for a second, too.
Yeah, yep. Number 2, what do you guys feel about the Batgirl cameo in Batman Bad Blood? You think that'll go somewhere or just stay as a fun little cameo? I've been thinking about that since it happened because we have yet to see her show up in another... You know what he's talking about? Like the end of that movie,
I do.
Batgirl shows up for like 5 seconds, like,
she's
I'm
in
coming,
her,
and then doesn't do anything.
Right. I think they call it her Burnside uniform because like she was living in some place called Burnside during that era of the comics. So it's a like purple suit with like the little like uniform.
It's like an exact copy pretty much of that. New 52,
Or like later New 52, not the beginning of it.
Yeah. The one made of like a motorcycle jacket kind of looking thing.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'd like to see that happen. I'm not like a huge fan of those movies, but I do like that they have like a shared continuity, and like I hate them just teasing that and not bringing her in. So
I enjoyed Bad Blood. I thought Bad Blood was pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you think that it'll lead into Hush? That's the only possibility I can see.
Oh yeah, that is a good. That would make sense. I really hope that Hush is not New 52 style movie though. But
I would love it to be its own separate thing with Kevin Conroy and everyone back. And I don't know if we'll get that, but we'll see.
Okay, number 3. Your thoughts on the whole Hrotalik and Carter Hall thing.
Oh.
I think what he means by that is, like, I've talked about this in a few videos where they do a character with like a new version of a character that's like, ooh, this is cool. It's like Hawkman, but not really. And then they just later go back and just do the original character anyway. Like, I like seeing those interpreted, but I also just do the thing. Just stick to your guns. Do the thing that you were going to do. I don't know.
Sure. Well, I don't have a problem with it, personally, because Hawkman is such a convoluted character in the comic books anyway. He actually like this has happened before in a way. Like there's been 2 different Hawkmans or 2 different Hawkgirls. Like I'll use Hawkgirl as a more specific example because it makes more sense in my head. Hawkman's just oh my god. So Hawkgirl in around 2006, around the Infinite Crisis era, there was Kendra Saunders, who was the Hawkgirl in the JSA series that was by Jeff Johns. And so she, for all intents and purposes, was Hawkgirl. But then so this like really came to my attention when I first read the Rand Thanagar War leading up to Infinite Crisis. Shiera Hull is alive and operating as Hawkwoman. And she's still on Thanagar and she's still a cop and everything. And so it's like she ends up working with Kendra Saunders in that era. And so it's like, okay, so we have a Hawkwoman and a Hawkgirl. Okay. And then it took me a minute to realize, like, okay, one of them's from an alien planet that was a cop. The other one is like a reincarnated ancient Egyptian goddess. Okay, I can separate that in my mind. One's a space cop, one's a goddess from Egypt. Cool. And so the DCAU did the same thing with Hawkman. One was a, general of Thanagar from a planet, and the other is a reincarnated Egyptian god who came from Thanagar originally, but his soul has been reincarnated over the years and is now Carter Hall. So that makes sense in my head, and just because the similar thing has happened in the comics. So,
I don't have a problem with it. Like now, I did at the time a lot more because I was. There was like I'm not familiar with any of the characters until they appear in a DCAU thing, and so like the Super Buddies forums and everything that we were involved with were like freaking out. Like they can't do Hawkman like that. What the hell? And then I was like, oh no, I like it. It's cool. I understand what the story's supposed to be to an extent, and they're doing a different thing. And then they just brought him on anyway later, and it was kind of like, man, just do the thing. I don't know. just.
Oh no, they're totally different. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I like it. I like Herotalic as a separate character, and yeah. So
all right.
it works for me.
Oh, and by extension, your thoughts on Hawkgirl. Well, let's say that we already said that.
I kind of did, actually. I kind of used her as a way to talk about Hawkman.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I like
Chinese Fox. We're almost done. Chinese Fox says, speaking of intellect, in season 2 of Justice League, episode 11, Batman said that they're about
almost episode 12.
I don't think that. No, he means Justice League Unlimited, I think. Batman said there are only about 3 people in the world smart enough to hack into the Watchtower. 2 of them were already on the Watchtower, leaving Luthor the only other one. Who were those other 2? Was Batman one of them?
Ray Palmer, John Henry Irons.
Yeah, we've gotten this request for a video several times, and yeah, it's pretty much like Batman. I guess for some reason isn't one of them.
No, I count him. I mean, he should be up there.
Does he say there's 5 people and 2 of them are already on the Watchtower? Well, so I guess he's the third one.
Well, it could be Mr. Terrific. Also, Mr. Terrific, Ray Palmer, and John Henry Irons are up there for me.
And Batman and Lex Luthor, I guess.
I think those might be the 5.
Yeah, the final 5. If it's not 5, then I don't remember.
Yeah, I guess we'd have to look back and see like where the Atom and Steel and Mr. Terrific are in that episode. Yeah.
No, Steel simultaneously is on the Watchtower. It's all powered down and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's typically the same. Like even in the comics, they've said that before. Like, they'll say like, "Oh, the 5 smartest people in the universe." Mr. Terrific says he's like the 2nd or 3rd smartest man in the world.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. He says some bragging rights like that. It's like you could have gone ahead and said you're the 1st smartest, like if you wanted to.
Yeah, you're the only one in the room. Yeah. Batman's like, there's only 3 people smart enough to do that, and I'm 2 of them. So.
Bat and Man.
I'm Bat and Man. Yeah, Batman and Bruce Wayne. I'm shit.
Yeah.
I'm
Batman's street smart. Okay.
Yeah. I think we have one more. Oh, nope, that was the last one. Hooray! Yeah, thanks for sending in questions. We really appreciate the input and like discussion topics to bring up, because we dedicate this whole little segment to what you guys want us to talk about. There's some stuff that we see come in and then we go like, oh, that's a good idea for like a full video. I won't answer that in a question, but sometimes it's like, oh no, okay, like your thoughts on this thing, like we just did. So
yeah, it's a lot of fun too. It's nice to be put on the spot and not prepare.
Yeah, it sometimes it's more fun, for us to discuss it like that than to just like write a whole script about it or whatever. And then by the time we're done talking about it, like I'm so sick of talking about Hawkgirl or whatever. So
I could talk about Hawkgirl forever.
Oh my goodness, what does that say about you? I don't know. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. That's the end of the podcast today. Thanks to the Dynamic Music Partners again for speaking with us. If they're somehow still listening to this podcast, doubtful. It was really fun to talk to them, and I think Adam had a good time too, despite like he was pretty quiet throughout it. But I gave him only a handful of questions to ask. So, but he did express a lot of like gratitude for being able to be on that. So I'm glad we could get him on there. We're on iTunes and YouTube. The podcast is out every other Monday. Ted's supposed to be working on Spotify, but we also...
I'll be looking into it.
Someone else about Google Play. I think at some point we're just going to have to say, like, these are the places that the podcast is. Because, like, eventually, like, there's so many, like, streaming apps, so many things. So.
And there's going to be new ones all the time.
Yeah, there's going to make can you go on Vimeo? Can you put your stuff on Vimeo?
Can we?
iTunes, links in the description of
the
YouTube version of the video.
Can we put it on Venmo?
What?
Send us money. All right.
Can we email a transcript of every podcast to each individual subscriber, please? I'm sorry. I'm not meaning to say that your request is stupid. Just it's gonna be a place. It'll be the places that it is.
Okay.
Thank you to Adam Mullen again for the music that he does for the start of this and all the other things. That's musica-atomica.com where you can find him. We are on social media at DCAU Watchtower. You can also get a hold of us at info@watchtowerdatabase.com. That's our email that we do on the place. Video schedule. The videos are out Sunday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, except current week. This is the second week of the 2-week break. So we did the podcast and that's good enough for now. Okay. Just calm down.
We'll be back soon.
Our next upcoming video was voted on by the patrons. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. You'll find out. Subscribe. What's the last? Oh, a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/DCAU Watchtower. That's a place where you can help us out if you'd like to. We do lots of cool things for you. You can do cool things for us by helping us to be able to do more of those things.
More of the things.
Maybe
one day James can afford better beer than Bud Light.
I hope the day is today. And with that, we'll see you on the other side. We got to get catchphrases.
We gotta get catchphrases.
We gotta get catchphrases for the end.
That was a question someone asked me. Someone asked me if I had a catchphrase, and I was like,
"Yeah, yeah, it's apostrophe TT apostrophe." What do I say? What's my thing? Do I have a catchphrase?
Your thing. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have a catchphrase?
Someone commented with like, "Oh, Maddie says this, James says this," but I don't remember what mine was supposed to be. It's my new catchphrase. All right. Well, I'll see you guys later. Bye.